that you go to Alaska, it depends on if you're going to share or not. Then you don't have to share. I go, okay, then I'm not going to share. But anyways, no, I guess I just want to thank you guys for, well, for the privilege of being here. And, man, I want to thank you guys for your support. I mean, you guys have been supporting us since, what, Bob? Like, we moved to Yeposo in 1996, so I'm thinking you've been supporting us since 1997. Never missed a gift every month. And so I just want to thank you guys for that. And I'm not really sure as far as how much those that, I'm just going to share about Mark and I. I'm not really sure what you guys know or what you guys don't know. I gave my heart to the Lord on April 3rd of 1981. I had a calling on my life to come to Mexico like 10 years before I gave my heart to the Lord. God just started working in my life, and then, but I've always thought that I would never go into Mexico single. So for the next 10 years after giving my heart to the Lord, and I started praying for my future husband, because I just didn't think God would send me to Mexico single. So I started praying. I dated a few times and had to end those relationships because they really didn't have, I just had a burning desire to be to Mexico. And so I had to end those relationships, and I just went into Mexico all by myself. In 1989, I went through a 9-month training program to prepare and equip you for the missions. And then from one thing to another, that was in Reynosa. I ended up in León, Guanajuato, where I met Mark. So I met him in 1991. We got married in 1992. After we got married in Minnesota. Shortly after, we came back up here to take care of Mark's mom until she passed away. Went home to be with Jesus, and took care of her until she passed away. And then in 1996, Mark and I returned back to Mexico. We ended up in Yeposo. Bob's been there. And it's a very remote village. It has like 45 to 50 families at that time. You know, we lived in a 2-room log house. We lived in there for 8 years. No running water, no electricity. We had solar panels and generators. And it's about, I don't know if you guys know where Chihuahua is, but it was probably about 10 hours south of the border. Beautiful place. And all the ladies want to, live at their dream houses. For me, it was a log house. I mean, it was a very rustic log house, but it was a beautiful house. And in 1996, we lived in that rustic house in 96 till 2003. And we do have a church in Yeposo, and we also have one in Taliotas we built. It's another community we were ministering at. But because of all the drug lords and everything else, sad to say that the church in Yeposo, which includes the church, Sunday school rooms, kitchen, it is not being used. Our church also in Taliotas, which is a few hours from Yeposo, it's not being used either because of all the drug lords. I mean, so many, Yeposo, for example, had 45 to 50 families. They are now down to maybe about 12, 14 families. Anyways, because of the drug lords, so many people have lost their lives and they've lost their land. And anyway, so our church in Yeposo and Tariota, sad to say, they're just sitting there. But we maintain them because I told Mark, I want to continue maintaining them just as a reminder to the people that God brought us here. And the one thing neat about it, a number of the people from those communities do attend our church in San Juanito. Anyway, so just to give you an idea, we're in El Paso. El Paso to Chihuahua is probably about 5 hours. And then Chihuahua to San Juanito is another 4 hours. We're about, depending on traffic, 9 to 10 hours south of the border. Our children, Crystal, she was born in 1998. I was 37. And then Cassandra, I was 38. And Daniel, I was 2 months shy of being 40. Every child's a miracle, right? And when you have your kids so late in life, I just remember telling my sweetie out in Yeposo that, you know, I just want God to just give me one baby. I would just be the happiest woman in the world, you know? All these promises we make to God. And so when, you know, I'm not very happy at times, he says, you know what, you were asked God for one baby, one child. He gave you 3, so no, what is your problem? Just whatever. Anyways, I'm very thankful for our 3 children. I mean, it took us, we are also all Mexican nationals. 2 of our children, Cassandra and Daniel, were born down there in Chihuahua. Crystal was born in El Paso. Anyways, but it took us about a good 12 years to become Mexican nationals. And at times my children ask, Mom, why don't you color your hair? So, you know, I go, why? And they go, well, because everybody colors their hair. So you go, look younger. I go, no, it's because the 12 years of doing the Mexican paperwork, I mean, I would walk in the office so positive. I had everything ready. And Mark's job was to take care of the little ones. They were little at that time. And I'd walk in there thinking I had all the requirements. And the line that the lady would use, it's fíjense. It means, look, guess what? You forgot something else. It's like, I would leave that office so many times with tears in my eyes. And I remember Crystal saying, Daddy, why is Mommy crying? I go, oh no, I'm just not crying. I got something in my eye. I would be so disheartened. So this gray hair, I'll have to leave it. I would have to thank the Mexican government for that. Anyways, besides, it's the in thing now, right now. I come to the States, all these ladies are dyeing their hair gray. But anyways, okay, in San Juanito, that's where we've been living now since 2003. We left the Pozo and Tariotas and started working in San Juanito, which has a population of like 14,000 people. And there we have our church. And we have 2 apartment buildings for those who are interested to help serve. They're just one level, no steps, electricity, hot showers. Have I convinced anybody? Right now they're just sitting there empty, but okay, we also have my boy Daniel is really interested, he enjoys mechanics, so my poor sweetie waited over 20-some years to have a mechanic shop. You know, Mark has always for years worked in the cold, the snow, not very much snow, but the cold, the rain, underneath the vehicles. And at times I'd be so jealous at him because he would spend more time with that vehicle than I would think his wife. But anyway, so now we have a nice mechanic shop, so Daniel does all our maintenance, and which saves us a lot. In San Juanito, the sad thing about it, guys, I don't know if Bob remembers, I think probably about 10 years ago, I'm not even sure, when we were up here, things got so bad in Mexico, the border and everything. And I remember Bob telling us, if for some reason you were not able to go back to your home in San Juanito, is there anything you would like to have back? You know, if the drug cartels were taking over buildings, especially Juarez, the border towns, they were just taking over anything, you know. And I remember Bob asking us, is there anything there? Well, everything we owned was down there. Mark looked at me and goes, honey, what do you have if for some reason we could not go back? I says, well, I guess it would be my pictures and my wedding dress. So when we went back, the first thing I packed up, we went to the border with all my pictures and my wedding dress, you know. So, but thank God, since we've been there so long, the drug cartel, the sad thing about it, San Juanito is like between 2 drug cartels. Our town is controlled by the group called La Línea. Well, they charge all the company, all the businesses, you have to pay a fee, but they say they're protecting us. Anyway, so but 10 minutes away is another drug cartel called the Chapo. Anyway, so I mean, these 2 drug cartels are always fighting for San Juanito, for the reason being, San Juanito is like the entrance into the Sierras, to the mountains where they plant their marijuana. Right now things are quiet, but it's amazing. The drug cartels, they know they have all over San Juanito, they have their little people that are standing all over the place. They know everybody that comes. If you have a new vehicle, for example, a few years back ago, Daniel was there in town with a group of people, and the guy rolled his window down, and Daniel really didn't know who he was, but he called Daniel's name, so he walked over, and Daniel sees in his car, he has a screen, a TV, and he goes, hey Daniel, chatting with them, he goes, where are these people? And he goes, well, just a group from Juarez. He goes, oh, where are they going? Well, they're going to San Machique. Okay. How about that car that you're driving? Yes. Well, I don't have that one registered. So he brings all the information up, and Daniel was so shocked. They had a picture of Mark, a picture of myself, all our, it's so hard to speak in English sometimes. Anyways, they had all the information in there, and they said, okay, Dan, I got to put this vehicle in there so you guys will not get stopped as they're leaving, as they're coming. So, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's, like I said, between 12 to 14,000, but they know everybody that's there. And God has been good. We've never had any problems. I mean, there was an incident not too long ago. There was going to be a hit on our van years back ago because they got it confused with somebody else, and then someone, it was God, intervened and says, nope, that is Pastor Mark. He's not the one you're looking for. And of course, they didn't believe this lady, so the lady had to bring Mark, bring them to where the van was going to. So see, this is the white van you were looking at, and that's Mark Davis, he's the pastor. He goes, oh, okay. So it was God's intervention, you guys. But San Juanito is a pretty dark place. My daughter Cassandra numerous times has mentioned, Mom, why did you guys live in San Juanito? I said, well, God calls us where the need is at. You know what I'm saying, you guys? There's like 10 churches there. They're very small, maybe 20, 30 people. It's amazing, even through everything that's happened to our town and the COVID. I mean, it's just, we're studying Revelation. Even through everything, it says that people still do not repent. At the end of, we're on chapter like 9 and 10 of Revelation now. It's amazing. I told Mark, it's amazing. Everything that San Juanito's gone through. Everybody has lost somebody in their family. Have been murdered, have been kidnapped, everybody's been affected, but they still don't see their need for God. To me that just, blows me away. We don't have, as over about 3 years ago, the police force left our town just because, well, they're going against men back, throughout town. There's the drug lords always driving with the machine guns in the back, and here's a police officer that they have a gun, but they had to confiscate that gun. Down there, the police force are not provided with, what do you call them? All that. They're not provided with anything. They had to confiscate their guns. So here the police force is up against the drug lords. They don't even have a chance. So about 3 years ago, they just literally packed up after getting their whole police station literally shot up, killed one of the guys that was watching the prisoners. They just all packed up their bags. It was over 3 years ago. They all left, so we don't have a police force. In San Juanito, the main income is logging and sawmills, which many of them have had to close down, and many of them have lost their lives for the reason being if they do not cooperate with the drug cartel, their lives are shortened. And there's so many times that people want to stand up and do what's right, and also we've lost many, many people. But God, like I said, God has been good. He has kept us safe. I have homeschooled our kids all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade. Not because I didn't trust the Mexican, school system. It was because it just gave us the freedom to come and go, to travel when we felt the need to travel. And but anyways, and probably about 10, 12 years ago, I've always mentioned to Mark that I would like to be able to purchase a home in El Paso, a fixer-up or anything, just because I've always felt that, God called Mark and I to Mexico. It doesn't mean He's going to call our children to Mexico. And we've always wanted our kids to be able to complete the calling that God has on their lives. And since we don't have any family close by, and I just, Mark, God would have an opportunity to purchase something. I would like to be able to purchase something in El Paso, so if the kids, once they finish high school, that they would have that choice to go on to school, because like I mentioned to my kids, you have to do what God's calling, because otherwise you're never going to find that peace. You're never going to find that fulfillment. You're never going to find the contentment. And I said, so I want you guys have to go where God's calling you. Hopefully it's not too far, like China or anything, But anyway, so God worked it out. God miraculously blessed us with a beautiful home in El Paso. And it was so funny, Mark and I are just ready to sign the papers. Here Crystal runs in, she's probably about 13, 14. She says, Mom, don't sign. Cassandra's crying, she's in the car. She's saying, Mom, don't sign, don't sign. And I told the lady, I said, excuse me, I'm going to have to wait. Cassandra's name, I love her name, but I guess it means unheeded prophetess. But I always thought, on the good side, like people won't want to listen to her share, Anyways, I just told the lady, I'm sorry, but this is an issue going, I got to deal with this. Because anytime Cassandra would say anything, I would just like, okay, stop, okay. Because I don't know, because God's going to speak through our kids, you know what I'm saying? Just like sometimes I tell Mark that God speaks to his word. But anyways, so I stopped, ran out there, said, hey, baby doll, what's going on? Why don't you want to buy this house? She goes, Mom, I don't want you to buy the house. You guys, we were living, every time we went for 15 years, 20 years, we'd always live in a little tiny trailer, a 10-foot trailer, 20-foot, a fifth wheel. Some friends of ours would allow us, they would open up their home to us, but it was just a trailer. And I just said, Cassandra, you guys are growing, I mean, there's not, your little twin bed is, there's not much room in that little camper. And I said, besides, baby doll, pretty soon you guys are going to finish high school. I really would like you guys to have a place that you could call home, She said, well, Mom, I don't want you to buy it. I said, tell me why you don't want me to buy it. She said, because I'm afraid if you buy it, Mom, you won't go back to Mexico. I said, what? She goes, yeah, Mom, I'm afraid. This house is so pretty. Why would you go back to your place in Mexico? I said, because God called me there. God called us there. I really don't think that's going to happen. I said, my heart is to be there. I said, we're buying this home for you guys. She goes, well, I'm just too afraid, Mom. I'm too afraid that you won't go back. But I said, no, that's not going to happen, baby doll. My heart's here. I'm in Mexico. But anyways, we went and signed the papers. Yeah, I remember our neighbors there in El Paso, like 2 years passed. She says, Roxane, may I ask why you bought this house? I go, why are you asking that? You guys are never here. You have to be here for like 2 or 3 days. Months go by, about 2 or 3 days. I said, well, we bought it really for our children, so they can have a place, So they could search God and find what is the purpose for their life, not to like I've always told people, you can't piggyback on someone else's vision. Because let me tell you, it doesn't make a difference where you're at. You guys are here in the States or whatever. You can't piggyback on someone's vision, because when that person goes through difficult times, what's going to happen to yours? They're going to fall apart. Like Mark and I, we moved down to Leon shortly after we were married, and we went to a Bill Yarborough. Some of you guys know him. Well, so many missionaries went down, like piggyback on his vision. And when he decided to leave, everybody left. All the missionaries, Americans, all left. Because it wasn't really their vision, it was Bill's vision, Bill Yarborough's vision. And here Mark and I are like, okay, Mark goes, what do you want to do? I go, well, I'm not going back to the States. I said, no, God called us to Mexico. And so we just waited on God and prayed for God's direction. You know what I'm saying, you guys? A person, each one of us has to look for the calling that God has placed on your life, because all of us are going to go through hard times. All of us will go through hard times. And if you know that you know that you know that you know that God is calling you there, or to do that, or whatever, that it doesn't make a difference what you go through. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I know that God called me here, so despite the obstacles, despite the frustrations, we're going to go through it. You know what I'm saying? But if you go there as someone else's vision, it's just when they leave, fall, well, you're going to pack your bags and leave. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so okay, Crystal, she's always had a heart to become a doctor since she was little. So it did surprise me when she informed us that she wanted to, after high school, to become a doctor. Cassandra surprised me because she always wanted to open up her own orphanage. But anyways, they both entered the medicine program at the same time in 2017. They are now finishing up with their, they call it social service, which is their 7th year, which any career that's involved with any medical career, before they give you your title, you have to give 1 year back to the government. Just because of the poverty, they really can't afford, people can't afford medical insurance. So this is one way for them, for the government to be able to help their people. And like my boy Daniel, I mean, he enjoys mechanics. When he finished high school, I told Mark, you know, I am not going to encourage Daniel to go to university. I am his teacher. You know, a mother knows what their kids are capable of doing, and I just told Mark, that's not going to happen. Daniel will not be able to go to university. We'll try to encourage him to go to El Paso, to go to a VOTEC, he enjoys mechanics, you know, try to encourage him along that line. Well, he finished high school and he says, Mom, I think I would like to go to the same university where the girls are at, in Chihuahua. That's where they're going to school. I go, and I'm thinking, I don't recall a mechanic course there. And I said, what are you looking at? He goes, to be a registered nurse. What? A registered nurse? I would have never, you know, God just took, I mean, he just blew me away with that. And I says, Daniel? He says, yes. I go, well, let me tell you, I have been your school teacher for 12 years. And if you decide to do this, you're on your own. I mean, you're gonna register yourself. You're gonna. I wanted to see that he was going to make the initiative. I said, Daniel, all these years I've been behind you, doing your homework, watching your letters. Okay, no, you can't play right now. Get back. You know, I said, I'm not going to do this. If you're going to enter the university, you are going to have to. You're going to have to put in your, what they say in Spanish, your pilas, your batteries, and you know, I'm not going to be waking you up. And I said, this is on your own. Okay, see, so he registers himself, and well, the first day of the class, the second hour of the first day, he calls me up. I said, I lived in Chihuahua for 3 years, while the girls and Daniel for about 3 years, just because since they were homeschoolers, I mean, the transition, the atmosphere of being in a school setting, to teach them how to drive, you know. San Juanito, we have one stoplight. Anyways, Chihuahua, like I tell my kids, you need to learn to drive differently here than you do in the States. And here in Chihuahua, you need to learn to drive to, you really can't obey the rule, all the laws, because if you obey the stop signs, you're going to get rear-ended. So you have to learn to drive differently than you do in the States. In the States, you have to obey the laws, because otherwise you're going to get a ticket. Here, if you obey all the laws, you're going to get in too many wrecks. Anyway, so I had to teach your kids how to drive to Chihuahua, and also they, like I said, they've never been in a school setting like that. You know, I worked with them, showing them how to use the computers, how to do the PowerPoints, the Excel, everything they had to learn. Well, Daniel, first day of class, probably the second hour, he calls me up crying. He says, Mom, can you please come and get me? I didn't have a vehicle, I had to take an Uber. I said, what's going on? He goes, I'm quitting. I said, no. You are not going to quit. So I get on an Uber, get over there, and it was so hot. It's in August, and I'm just sitting there watching the door because I did not want. He says, I'm walking out, I am quitting. I said, no, you're not. I said, I'm sitting out here, I'm making sure you're not going to leave. And I said, I want you to go back in class. I said, we're going to talk about this later on, but you have to finish your first day of class. Anyways, 2 hours later, he comes back and he's crying again. He said, oh, Mom, I can't handle this. And I said, oh, you must have got to meet Juanito. He goes, oh, you met Juanito? I said, well, I haven't really met him, but I've heard about him. Well, he is the cadaver that my girls worked on. Anyways, I said, Daniel goes, oh, Mom, I can't handle this. I said, Daniel, seriously. To become a registered nurse, if you check all your classes, you don't have that class. Well, why did they show me Juanito? I said, well, because I guess they wanted to see if you have the guts, the stomach to handle it. He said, some people are walking out, throwing up, pale. Daniel runs out to the car and he's crying. And I said, Daniel, seriously, we just butchered your goal like 2 months ago. Seriously, what's the difference? Juanito's been there for like, I don't know, like 10, 15 years. I said, what's the difference? He says, well, he was just so dry, Mom. He was just so dry. He said, Mom, please, can I just quit? I said, no. We did not encourage you in this career. I said, so if it's something of God, we got to be sensitive to this. I said, you just can't pack your bags and leave. Besides, we paid for the first month. So I sat there for 6 hours in that parking lot. I think I lost about maybe 3 or 4 pounds because I melted with all the heat. So our car didn't have very good air conditioning. I said, Daniel, we're going to Costco. We're going to sit down and have an ice cream. I said, okay, Daniel, tell me what happened. He said, Mom, I can't do this. I said, you know what, Daniel? Mark and I, we would have never chosen this for you. I said, but you know what? I really want to be sensitive to God. If it is something of God, I says, I'm going to ask one thing of you. He said, what's that? I want you to finish the first semester. Just the first semester. If after the first semester you tell me, okay, Mom, I finished it, I want to leave. Okay, we'll pull you out after the first semester. I said, but I'm not going to allow you to go from one school, one career, to another career, to another career. I says, you know what? You put yourself into this. You registered. You got your uniforms. I said, so I'm going to ask you to hang on for one semester. And I said, besides this crying, I says, this is first day of class, second hour. I said, you are not allowed to cry the first day. He says, why can't I? I said, because your sister's been crying until the second day. So you'll have to suck it up and dry it up. Here's a paper, here's a napkin. I'll allow you to cry tomorrow, but today you may not cry. Anyways, I said, so Daniel, do we have an agreement? I want you to hang in for one semester. I'm going to be out here in Chihuahua. I'm going to help you, teach you how to use the PowerPoints, because they're in Mexico. The students give the classes. The teachers choose the topics. So you have to prepare everything on PowerPoints, and you have to be in class. And I warned Daniel he was going to have to do that, because he just, in church, I said, Daniel, you need to start sharing in front, so you can get used to sharing in front of people. He goes, I'm not going to do that. He says, if you go to that university, you will be sharing in front of 40-some people. Anyway, so I said, Daniel, I will be in Chihuahua. I'll show you how to do all these things. And he survived the first semester, did excellent grades, like an 89. Anyways, so I said, okay, finish it. I said, let's go back to school. He goes, why are we going back to the school? And I says, well, our agreement, our contract was you have to last for 1 month. I mean, 1 semester. After that, I says, you want to leave? We'll pull you out. And I said, so let's go and get your paperwork, and you just inform us where you want to go. We'll go to El Paso. We'll put you in a VOTEC for on-hand for mechanics. He goes, well, I'm thinking about staying on another semester. I said, what? And he said, I said, may I ask why? He goes, well, supposedly in the second semester, they're going to put us in the hospital. I want to see if I can handle working in a hospital. I go, are you sure, Daniel? I go, yeah, I think I'd like to try another semester. I go, okay, fine. Well, the second semester came. What happened was the COVID. COVID? Yeah. So, I mean, the next 2 years, he was in front of the computer from 7 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He hated that. He enjoyed it afterwards. He was able to work in a mechanic shop, but just sitting in front of that computer. And the nursing program was very hard because they think it was from 7 to 1. And you have to use the restroom. It would shut your camera off. Do it and come back. The girls, well, it wasn't that, it was like an hour, 2 hours. They had to shut the camera off for a few hours. But Daniel, it was straight. From 7 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. And he fought every semester. He goes, I think I'm going to quit. I says, you know, Daniel, make the decision. You want to quit, quit. I says, I will say it. You have learned so much that even if you decide to quit, you will be able to use it, you know. And but he pressed forward, he hung in there. And now he's serving, he's doing his 1 year back to the government out in San Machique, which friends of ours built that hospital about 25 years ago. It's a small hospital, but he's able to do everything. He's assisting in surgeries, he's putting in stitches, he is doing x-rays. I mean, he's just really enjoying that, you know. And not too long ago, I wasn't feeling too good. I was dehydrated, I was working so much outside, and he showed up and he goes, Mom, how can you go to the hospital? I says, well, because I don't think I could last that long. I may have to be close to the bathroom. So he shows up, he puts in the IV, I mean, you know, it's like within a few minutes he had the IV in, he hung the bag. I thought, oh, this is such a humbling experience when you're born, you know. Anyway, so now he enjoys it, you know. Like I said, all three of them now are doing their 1 year back to the government. All three will be finishing in July. And Daniel, he's thinking about continuing San Machique, because I guess they're offering to work there. I'm not totally excited just because it's a different drug cartel territory. It's the Chapo, we're in Linea. It's a 2-hour drive. It's a beautiful drive, and he's with us for a week in San Juanito, goes back out to San Machique for a few days. So he's back and forth, and just gotta trust, you know, God keeps him in his, you know, he's in God's hands. And the name of our organization is My Redeemer Christ Can Deliver. About 6 years ago, we decided to become our own 501c3. So we had to choose a name, and the My Redeemer Christ Can Deliver, I had a little meeting, because we always meet with our kids. Any activity we had to do, it was, okay, we're going to sit down, decide how we're going to do this activity. So I asked the kids, I said, okay, you guys, we got to choose a title. Well, I would like to choose the first letter of all of our names and try to come up with something. Anyway, so My stands for Mark, Redeemer is Roxane, Christ is Crystal, Ken is Cassandra, and D is Delivers for Daniel. Anyways, it was so funny when within a few minutes, God just started putting everything together, and I said, you know, Cassandra, well, Crystal has Christ, Daniel has Deliver. Well, all you have is the verb can. She goes, yeah, Mom, but without can, nothing is possible. I go, oh yeah, that's true. Anyway, so that's what the My Redeemer, how that came about. And in September, Chris and Cassandra will be taking their specialty test, because they'll be finishing their 7 years. And if they want to go on, well, they got to take this test in September. As of yet, we're not sure. It might be in Monterey. And if they pass that, well, then Crystal's going to go on to a family doctor. Cassandra, as of yet, she's not sure. She's not sure if she wants to become a gynecologist or a pediatrician. And so as of yet, she hasn't made the decision. Cassandra really has a burden to be on the mercy ship. So I'm not really sure if she's heading towards that direction. Daniel, well, he's still thinking about staying on San Machique. I said, you know, Daniel, he goes, yeah, Mom, but they're going to give me a raise. Right now, all three of our kids get about $2 a day. That's what the government pays them. He goes, yeah, Mom, but if I stay here, they're going to give me about, what did we figure about? $200, $250 every 2 weeks. I go, Daniel, he goes, yeah? He goes, Mom, but I really like working at, you know, it's just the atmosphere, you know. I says, yeah, Daniel, but you're bilingual, you're a mechanic, you're an RN. You could go to the States and really make some good money. He goes, yeah, but I'm kind of thinking about hanging on for a while. Okay. Anyway, so I get blessed to me because his heart's not into the material things. Even though he likes the technology, he likes his little toys, you know. But so he's kind of going towards that direction. And as you guys heard, my daughter, Crystal, will be getting married the 26th of October, which all of you guys are invited. It's a very nice man that you met at a church in Chihuahua. Loves God. His folks are Christian. He loves God. He's on the worship team, and he's like a financial advisor. And he doesn't get already any kids. So I'm really excited. Someone asked me, "Are you going to be crying at your daughter's wedding?" I go, "You know what? I'm just so happy for her. I'm so excited for her. I'm sure there'll be tears of joy, but I'm just so excited that because they have so many things that they want to do, accomplish in their vision, you know. And so I'm pretty excited about Carlos. We've had some little difficulties with Carlos, but we got him straightened out, didn't we, honey? Anyway. Okay, December's coming up. We do have our Christmas outreach, which we're aware of that. We have about, we try to reach about 2,500 children in 25 different schools. We go all over in San Juanito and just all the surrounding communities. Some are 10 minutes away, some are like 2 to 3 hours away. So that we're going to be planning for, well, Christmas wedding in October, the Christmas outreach in December, and someone asked me what it was like being a missionary. You know what, you guys, we're all missionaries, right? Wherever we're at, we're missionaries. You know, missionaries is someone that has a burden to reach the lost. And for some of us, it's starting to reach our families. You know what I'm saying? You guys, I got married when I was 31, and my heart was, I was trying to be so careful to stay on the straight and narrow path, because I really wanted to win my family for the Lord. Well, here it's been, I gave my heart to the Lord in 81, it's 40 years later, and I am no closer winning my mother than I was 40 years ago. She's very, very strong Catholic, and right now she is in assisted living home, and so I'm just praying that God just put someone in her path, that would share the gospel to her. But I enjoy living where we're at. As you can see, Mark's been up here 4 different times. I just told Mark, I just really enjoy being here. Being there, it does have its challenges. I know Bob and Carrie are aware of some of these challenges, heartbreaks, frustrations. But you know what? Through it all, you guys will always sense God's peace, His protection, and I can honestly say I've never really been fearful. Things, you could hear things. I mean, we went quite often, you just always hear the shotguns, they're fighting, because one drug cartel gets in San Juanito, so they're trying to take control, and lately it's really been quiet, not really sure why. Anyway, but, I enjoy being where we're at. I enjoy just being parts of the people's lives. Right now we're going through a difficult time in the church. Our attendance has dropped. And I know a lot of people have left San Juanito just because of job and everything else, and because of the drug lords. But anyways, I really enjoy being there. And my kids, it excites me to see even so many missionaries we've known in our neck of the woods. We don't know any missionary that their children are still there. Usually by the time they're 12 or 13, they've packed their bags, went to the States to live with grandma, their aunts and uncles, and like our kids, they just, they have a heart, a burden, you guys. And I think that's what's important is make sure all your kids, no matter what activities you guys are doing, your kids, your grandkids, that they feel part of that, It wasn't like our ministry was all of us. Okay, guys, let's sit down. What do you guys think? We're thinking about doing this. I need your input, So we've always tried to we want our children to feel like it was all of us. And I mean, like the My Redeemer Christ Can Deliver, like I told the kids, I said, if it wasn't for our kids, we would have not been able to accomplish as much. The kids were so involved, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I was more or Mark was more or whatever. All of us were involved in. So I just told Mark, wow, all our kids are involved in this ministry, and without them, we would not be able to do as much. So that's why we chose with that name. And like I've always mentioned, you guys, we're all here. To me, we're here on earth, number one, to glorify God. You know what I'm saying? To glorify in everything we do, to glorify God, and to raise godly offspring. And like some of you guys know, our one daughter, Cassandra, kind of took it'll be 3rd of December she came back. It'll be 3 years, but she did leave us for about 7 months, which, sad to say, I didn't get much done during that time, because I was just sitting by the table, praying all the time, listening to the Bible, and I was praying. That was the only thing. That's what got me through that difficult time. And she kind of hooked up with some wrong friends, and she had an unsafe boyfriend and things such as that. And but it's funny, during that time, well, that's when when she decided to walk away from our covering, before she walked out that door, I said, okay, we're just going to tell you one thing. You walk out that door, we're no longer going to support you. We won't be paying for your school. You are totally on your own. She says, well, that's what I want. I said, okay, fine. So she packed up her suitcase and left. Anyway, so she went to El Paso, and she worked for about 3 months. She had to work for 3 months to pay for her 6-month semester for schooling. Well, during that time, Crystal and Daniel came up here to Alaska, and while with Mark, I stayed in Washington to take care of my mother-in-law. She just recently had hip surgery. So during that time, Crystal and Daniel were enjoying there were times with my aunts and uncles, they just had such a fun time. And here, poor Cassandra, for those 3 months, she had to babysit 4 little kids. You know? But, you know, she knew that if she wanted to enter the next semester, because she entered with Crystal, she wanted to finish with Crystal, she did not want to get a semester behind, so she had to come to El Paso in order to get her schooling paid for. Anyway, so she does have regrets. She says, Mom, I really did some dumb things. I have some regrets. I says, yeah, but they're in the past right now. I says, you know, that little saying, when Satan reminds us of our past, we need to remind him of his future. I said, you know what, Cassandra, you are doing so great. Just a few months ago, she really got hooked in a great church, and she was loving it. She goes to church about 3-4 times a week now. And I said, wow, Cassandra, I think you're becoming one of those hallelujahs now. She goes, yeah, Mom, I think I'm even a Christian. But you know, that it is true. When your kids give their heart to the Lord when they're so little, you know, Mark and I have always known that at one point in life, they're going to have to each make a decision, you know, rededicate their lives, you know. And she made the comment to me 2 or 3 days ago. She says, yes, the school really pulled her down. I said, no, the school. I said, Crystal remained faithful, Daniel remained faithful. That's because it was their convictions. It was their convictions that they're, you know, despite everything, they remain faithful to God and their fear. I says, you just kind of you just let your guard down a little. And I says, you know what, there's so many of us, I told Cassandra, when something happens, it's like we don't want to accept our own responsibilities. I says, you know what, it was your decision to leave. I says, you know, she goes, yes, that is correct, Mom. It was my decision. You can't blame it on the school. You can't blame it on your so-called friend, you know, because you could have said no. I said, so I mean, the sooner that you learn to accept your own responsibilities, and, you know, you'll do so much better in life. She goes, that is true, Mom. I guess it wasn't the school. But anyway, so now she accepted. Because the first time I just recently, it's like she's really making some great advancements in her relationship with God, so I'm so excited. Right now she sent me a birthday note, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but I responded, because she said about conquering. And I said, later on.
About conquering a guy's heart.
Oh yeah, she says, you know, Mom, right now I don't seem like I could conquer a guy's heart, so I think I'll conquer God's heart. I said, oh no, you already conquered God's heart the moment you were conceived. She goes, oh, bless her heart, Mom. Anyway, so she's doing great. You guys, thank you guys for your prayers. Okay, and I guess I was thinking about in Matthew 25, it says, you know, that it's like, you guys, we have to give everything. I mean, if little, like that one scripture, you know, little, how's the verse going? I don't know. To those that have little is required. To those that have much is required. Do you know what I'm saying, you guys? It doesn't make a big difference if we have little, if we have a lot. It's just like, God wants us to use what we have. You know, you guys, God wants you to use what you have, you know? And so I think it's just so important not to compare ourselves with others. You know, if I had this, I could do this, you know. It's like, I think about the times when Mark and I first moved down there, you guys, we had, you know, we literally sold everything we had, and just believing that, you know, if it was God's will for us to be there, that, you know, that He'll make it work, you know. And so we sold everything we had, and that was in, like I said, 96, and it's just been neat, you guys, just to see God working. You know what I'm saying, you guys? It's been exciting, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I enjoy being there, and it's like God bless us with a beautiful home in El Paso through another course of events. I like the home when we're there. It's a nice place to recharge your batteries, but I really enjoy being in San Juanito. It's just, the drive there is gorgeous. The last hour, you are just in the mountains. It's just, you know, I've seen you guys' beautiful scenery. I was telling Daniel not too long ago, we were driving back into San Juanito. I said, Daniel, we've been doing this drive for so many years, and you never get tired of it. It's like you're in Alaska. I'm sure you guys never get tired of the beautiful mountains, you know. I'm just very thankful for that, and thinking to some of the groups that we've had. We haven't had very many groups the last 10 years because of the drug lords. Everybody, I think the last group we had was Mitch and Craig. Wasn't it, Mark, when they came to lay the floor?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that, Mitch? I was told people, yeah, that's a group because it was 2 people. Oh, well, a group is more than one, right? Yeah. So their last group was Mitch and Craig. We haven't had another group. Prior to that, we've had groups that come down, and it's, I don't get excited when youth groups come from the States, you guys. It's just, we've had some bad groups. I mean, you know, these young people, they spend months and months raising the funds, okay? And the few groups that we've had where they did VBS, Vacation Bible School, I mean, seriously, I mean, I spend a lot of money. I like to see the kids be blessed with their gifts, with their projects, their candy. The groups would come down, and it's like, they would constantly apologize. You know, Roxane was sore, we didn't have very much money. There's a few little candies, you know, the projects would literally fall apart before they walked out the door. And I thought, okay, I guess, you know, thank you for coming, thank you for serving. But the answer, they were always apologize. I thought, okay, I understand. Things are expensive, the troops are expensive. Well, and I remember this one group, they finished, and they were really pushing to get back to this border. I thought, and see, in Mexico, if you come across, you guys, you pay like $30 a month for tours to be able to go into the country. But if you leave Mexico within 7 days, well, they waive that $30 fee. So I thought this one group was pushing to get back so they go, because it was a large group, it was like 45, 50 kids. So I thought they were trying to get back to waive that fee, because you do the calculations, you know, 30 times 40 people, you know, it's quite a bit of money. Well, when it's over and said and done with, I found out they went to Chihuahua, stayed in a motel for like 3 days, you know, at the pool. I mean, they gave out rewards. I mean, oh, my heart just really broke, you guys, you know, because their heart wasn't for the kids. In this other group, I remember this one lady saying, she said, when I was explaining to her, I was trying to be so careful with my words, but I didn't want to offend anybody. She came back, and I was talking to her. She says, yeah, but, you know, Roxane, at least we planted seeds. I said, wow. I know there's not a scripture for this, Bob, but the thought that hit me, maybe God wanted them to plant trees. Do you know what I'm saying, you guys? I think a lot of times it's like, okay, at least we planted some seeds, or at least, you know, I mean, but she was so content with that, because she planted seeds. But you know what I'm saying, you guys? It's like, we need to give God our all. You know, God gave us His all, His one and only Son. I mean, I cried, and my kids were little, and I would always hide because I didn't want them to be so depressed. I had to find a little secret spot. At that time, it was only the bathroom. I just sat there and cried. I said, you know, God, forgive them, forgive me. I mean, wow, God, you gave us so much. And so many times we have that mentality, well, at least I'm planting seeds. You know what I'm saying, you guys? We need to give. We need to me, it's like, I know it's scripture there, Bob, but you know, it's like so many of us put so much peace on that. Okay, well, I planted seeds, so fine, we could go on now, we could go out to dinner, we could stay at the motel, we, you know, here kids. I remember these kids, they just get one little piece of candy because they answered a question. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, just one little. You know, these kids don't have anything. You know what I'm saying, you guys? They don't have anything, and they're just elated with the one piece of candy, and the projects are falling apart. But anyways, you know what I'm saying, you guys? We need to have the mentality to give God our all. And like, you know, the scripture says, you know, we're to make disciples. You know, so we're to make disciples. And that's going to me a little bit farther beyond just planting seeds, you know. We need to make disciples and to advance God's kingdom. Because like I mentioned to my kids, our purpose here on earth is to glorify God. Lord, we want to raise godly children and to win souls. Because our time here on earth is we're so few years, you know what I'm saying, compared to eternity. And hopefully, Lord willing, if it's in God's plans, in January, we want to start a rehab center, alcohol rehab center. We've already met with someone that has one in Chihuahua. We want to be able to, alcohol is very high. very, very hot in someone. He knows when people have lost lives for that too. But we've always kind of put it on the back burner just because of my concern with my girls. Anyway, so now the kids are all finished up with their careers. So we're praying and looking into starting a rehab center, or we have like a Bible school, and I mean, Mark has so much to offer them, to teach them a skill, to be electricity, woodwork, plumbing, and Daniel, of course, enjoys, if he's there, I'm not really sure, mechanics, and so we're kind of been praying, you guys be praying for that. Hopefully, like the Lord willing, we're looking into starting that in January, and I guess that's it. Once again, because I want to thank you guys for your support. I mean, people ask us how we're doing as far as your support. And I says, you know what? We've been there since '96, and we've been so blessed. We've never had to leave the field. So many missionaries, you know, they take their sabbatical leave or whatever. They take a year off to raise support. We have never had to do that. I have never wanted to do that. I told Mark, I don't care if I eat beans every day. I says, you just can't leave the work. You know what I'm saying, you guys? It would be so hard for us to leave the work, and to me, it's not fair on the people, and I'm so thankful for you guys' support. And I mean, people have asked how we're doing, and I says, you know what? God's been so good. We literally had the same people that started supporting us like in '97, '98. Granted, a few of those have passed on. But God has been so good, you guys. I just, you know, I can't tell. I mean, my kids, 3 of them are finishing their medical careers. I mean, you know, debt-free. You know, we don't owe anything. Crystal and Cassandra just pays their last semester. They sent me the receipt, and they said, oh, Mom, look at this. We're all done with school. And so they're so excited. I said, you guys need to realize if it wasn't for God, you would not be debt-free. I said, you go to the States, people spend 15 to 20 years just to pay off their college degrees. I said, you guys are so fortunate, so blessed, and to be able to say that your career is almost finished, and you guys are debt-free. See what I'm saying, you guys? We've just always put everything is in God's hands. And I was just telling Karen, when I flew in, she asked, how was your flight? And I reminded Mark, this is the reason why I haven't been back. When we left El Paso, when we were leaving, attempting to leave El Paso, it was a bad sandstorm. We're just ready to take off. Had to shut everything down. Sat on the runway for over 2 hours. And the pilot, they decided to take off. There was so much turbulence. I'm sure it lasted at least 10 minutes. I don't know anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just like crying. I was beside myself. I was hiding inside of Mark's stomach over here, just crying. And I'm thinking, oh, the thought that hit me, you guys, was, wow, I am totally in God's hands. You know, we say that. You know, we say we're in God's hand, but I told Mark, we're just way up here. I am totally, totally in God's hands. I just can't tell the pilot, can you just stop at the next stop? I want to get off that flight so bad. I said, oh, God. So I'm trying to search my memory bank. Is there anything I need to ask forgiveness for? You know, I'm trying to clear everything. And I said, God, just keep our kids. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I know everything is in your hands. But wow, at that moment, it was just a different feeling, you guys, knowing that. I've said that to God so many times. I'm in His hands. But when you're up there, I don't know how far we were up, but you're totally in God's hands. You know what I'm saying, you guys? And God has been good. Once again, thank you guys for the opportunity to share, and thank you for Bob and Karen. Everybody, you know, thank you guys. And I guess that's